going to do now is plug the wee beastie into my little amp here, and we're going to have a listen to see what the pickups are doing in comparison to each other, rather than for the quality of the sound coming out of my dodgy little practice amp behind us. So I'll plug the beastie in now. We're just going to have a listen to make sure that we've got the right pickups doing what I expect them to do. That's the back pickup on, and that's going to be the neck pickup on. Less from the click from the front of that one, but it's now then. So if we compare volumes, quite loud and a bit muddy, a bit weak and a bit thin, and that's if both the volumes are set to full. In the rhythm section, it's just a slightly different tonality, but less of an issue because that's going to take some of the sound out anyway. Anyway, from my view, that back pickup's a bit low and this one's a bit high. So, what we do is apply a little bit of toolery to it. And I have to say, if ever there was a damn silly system invented, it was probably this. Because it's not a very good way to grip a pickup. But I'm just going to push that down a bit manually. So that's as far as it's going to go down anyway. So. Yeah, that's as low as it's going to go anyway. So we might just want to bring this one up a tiny bit. And the only way to do it is literally just gently lever these things up from where you can find a suitable gap. With that, as you take the whole thing out, just loosen off this end as well. Come out a tiny bit about where I want it to be, so tighten these up again. One thing I'd say, if you never think you want to become a luthier, if you can't stand fiddly things, don't. Guitars are fiddly. Well, they sure are. So we'll apply some electricity to that again. Bit more parity between them now. That works. That works. Both of them on. So everything's now working as it should be. So net result, switch the amp off, unplug the beastie, and we put the truss rod cover back on again and give it back to the owner, who should go, "Whippy, thank you very much indeed for making my guitar play so much better."
You certainly will.
And it's really worth doing this sort of thing. It doesn't take too long, as you've seen, even in this little video. I allocate about half an hour to 45 minutes to do a setup on a guitar, and sometimes they take a bit longer. If the guitar's been used a bit, one of the things that happens is the frets start to get a bit worn underneath where the strings rub against them. And when the strings start forming grooves in the frets, you might have issues with the strings starting to rattle in the frets in front of where those grooves have been worn. And when they're really, really bad, you have to replace the frets. But generally speaking, one can skim the top of these using a flat carborundum stone and then reprofiling and polishing them up again afterwards. And I generally go over the fretboard with a very, very thin blade and skim, you know, a fraction of a millimetre off it as well, and more or less what comes off the top when you're grinding it comes away from the fretboard, and you wind up with the same height as you would have had from the guitar originally. And I call that a first stage stone grind. when the frets get too worn, well, the only thing you can do is pull them all out and refret them, which is expensive. However, the advantage of having a guitar stoned and or refretted is that you've had some hand-done work on the frets. And the little things that you would notice on this one, such as, for example, if I rub the strings across the frets, you can hear it because the strings have not been super polished from new, they've been put in by a press, and that's exactly, you know, the end's finished off and that's it. But the frets haven't been finished by hand. But if you do them, once you do a refret, if I do a refret, each fret is done by hand, cut to length, trimmed, sat perfectly, end sealed, rounded, the whole lot. And you wind up with a nicer feeling guitar at the end of it because the frets are done properly, with possibly nicer fretboard than you would have had originally, and a whole new lease of life in it. Now, one of the other peculiarities I've found in the past, that from the action of using a hammer to gently tap in the frets all the way across the fretboard up and down, you're probably hitting the fretboard several thousand times over the course of an hour or two. And this does wonders for the resonance of the instrument. The whole thing comes to life and they ring better afterwards. So a refret is often a route to making your guitar sound better as well. So there we are, the last bits of human detritus to pull off the pickups and things where I've been working on it.
Thank you very much indeed, Tom.
Neck, and hey presto, one finished off now. So a quick test.
Yeah.
Anyway, something like that. But the thing plays, it plays in tune, and that's exactly what